Hello dear learners. Dear learners, I am back. I am back with one more video. This video of mine is actually based on the first stanza of John Keats's poem Ode to a Psyche. That is actually divided into 4 stanzas. Before heading straightway into this very particular poem, that is Ode to a Psyche, I would first of all like to tell you something about this very particular poem. Actually, that source or that inspiration that John Keats got particularly for writing this beautiful ode in the year 1819 along with 4 other odes which are supposed to be the best odes of John Keats. See, actually it is said that John Keats may have read a certain book written by Apollonius. Apollonius was a second century Roman writer, and actually he in his own book particularly made mention of the love story of Cupid, the Roman god of love. The same god is known as Eros in Greek mythology. So this Apollonius had made mention the love story of Cupid and Psyche. Psyche, an earthly just a creature, an earthly girl. Okay, and on the basis of that, John Keats wrote this beautiful poem. So before heading into just the details of this poem, first of all, I would like to tell you about that legend or about that story related to Psyche. As per a certain story or a certain just a tale, there was a king, and that king had more than 2 daughters, and the name of his youngest daughter was Psyche, who was a woman of extraordinary beauty. She was outstandingly beautiful. She was so beautiful that the goddess of love, see, even the goddess of love, that is Aphrodite according to Greek mythology and Venus according to Roman mythology, felt jealous. She felt jealous strongly to see the beauty of this young girl. So she decided to send her son Cupid, means Eros, to revenge upon this very particular girl. She sent Cupid with this instruction that Cupid was going to prick the body of Psyche with his arrow, and to make her, and he was going to ensure that she was going to fall in love with a man, with an ugly man, or with a hideous man, only to revenge. Why? Because she felt strongly jealous of the mesmerizing beauty of Psyche. But when Cupid, the young god of love, means Eros according to Greek mythology, when he saw this woman, Psyche, straightway, accidentally, he became so lost in the beauty of this young girl that accidentally he pricked himself with his own arrow and fell deeply in love with this young girl, and now they started meeting. But Eros means Cupid just warned this young girl Psyche never try to see his face. And they started generally just meeting in the night time. But this woman, out of curiosity, one day she lit a lamp, particularly to see the face of this young god, that made this young god fly off the handle. And this way they parted their ways. After that, this young girl Psyche had to struggle hard to just convince Aphrodite to gain her permission to choose Cupid as her life partner. So this was the story, you see, and you can better understand why did John Keats decide to write poem on this subject. Why? Because you know that John Keats was the lover, was the worshipper of beauty. So here he is celebrating the beauty of Psyche, and maybe in the garb of the celebration of the beauty of Psyche, probably he is celebrating the beauty of his own beloved Fanny Brown. Why? Because it is the saying of some critics that maybe Psyche of John Keats is none other than Fanny Brown. So I hope, my dear learners, this information will help you understand this very particular poem. Once again, I would like to tell you that this poem is divided into 4 stanzas. Here I am going to explain the first stanza of this poem. Why? Because this poem is long, and unfortunately you will see that my board does not have sufficient space to cover the entire poem or to write the entire poem. And one thing I would also like to tell you, my dear learners, that I have written the poem making the letters small. So maybe you may find it difficulty in reading it. So it is my humble request to all of you to please zoom before reading it or at the time of watching this video. So let's, my dear learners, begin the first stanza of this very particular beautiful ode that runs into stanza of 4 lines. The first stanza just is consisted of 23 lines. So let's see what does actually John Keats talk about in this very particular poem, my dear learner. So let's read the poem and understand. See, O goddess, hear the tuneless numbers rung. So see, here in the first line of the poem, or you can say the first line makes this point clear that here he is addressing or dedicating this very particular poem to the goddess that is Psyche, goddess of, you can say, beauty. He says, O goddess, hear the tuneless numbers. Here, tuneless numbers. Tuneless numbers actually stand for this poem, this song that he is singing, particularly to glorify the goddess, that is Psyche. Psyche is none other than a goddess for John Keats. Though in her lifetime, or even at the time when Apollonius just wrote the story of this goddess and Cupid, at that time even this goddess had not, this woman had not got the status or stature of a goddess. But for John Keats, she is a goddess. Why? Because John Keats is the worshipper of nature, and John Keats is actually glorifying the beauty of his own beloved, that is Fanny Brown. So see this. So he says, "Oh goddess, I'm just going to sing the song. I'm just going to sing a song about you." So before starting, here I am humbly making a request to you to pardon me and to excuse me. Why? Because I am here going to sing. I'm going to sing your song. So since I'm going to sing your song, actually I want your permission. So please do grant me your permission to sing your song. He says, tuneless numbers rung this stand for the song. He says, see how John Keats himself is deprecating his poetry or deprecating his song. Deprecating means belittling, means tuneless numbers rung means he himself is saying that this song of mine is not a very great one. Artistically or on the merit itself, maybe my song is a kind of a prosaic one, is a kind of a simple one, is a kind of a humble lay, not a very special or a kind of a dignified song. He says, by sweet enforcement and remembrance dear. So he says that maybe here you can call my just poetry or my song a simple one, plain one, not a something great one. But if I'm going to sing about you, it's all because my love, my passion, my devotion and dedication to you and my high kind of admiration for you, I'm singing. He says, and pardon that thy secret should be sung. He said, and please do excuse me. Why? Because I'm going to sing something about your secret. I'm going to reveal some secret related to your life. That's why I seek your humble permission to sing the song of your life. He says, see, even into thine own soft conched ear. So he says, see, here he used the word conched particularly for the ear of Psyche. It means the shape of the ear of Psyche was very similar to the shape of a conch. Conch is a kind of a shell that is used particularly for blowing. So just as the conch has a kind of a beautiful shape, in the same manner the ear of this goddess, the ears of the goddess were beautiful in shape. So he says that I'm going to sing the secret of your life on that permission. And maybe if coincidentally or accidentally I hurt your sentiment, please do excuse me. I shall greatly be just, apologetic for hurting your sentiments if I hurt. See, he says further, surely I dreamt today, or did I see? I see a winged Psyche with awakened eyes. So he says, see, surely I dreamt today, or did I see? So this very particular line, try to pay attention to this very particular lines, my dear learners. that this line somehow reminds us a certain line of his masterpiece, Longest Ode, that is Ode to a Nightingale, where he concludes the poem saying, whether it was a waking dream, whether it was a dream or I was waking. Exactly, I don't remember that very particular line, but this line is very similar to that very particular line of this Ode to a Nightingale, where the poet is confused whether he heard the nightingale with his own ears, with his senses, or whether he heard the nightingale in the dream. That same kind of a thing is here. See, surely I dreamt today, or did I see the winged Psyche with awakened eyes? So he said, surely he used it, but even then he is having a kind of a confusion whether he saw absolutely awakened or he was dreaming. He says, see, surely I dreamt today, or did I see? So he's in a bit kind of a kind of a confusion. He's not sure whether he saw Psyche or just he dreamt. He says, the winged Psyche with awakened eyes. So he says, he's not sure. And I wandered in a forest thoughtlessly. So he says, today, maybe this morning or today, he was actually ambling, walking in a very relaxed, careless manner in the wood, and there he accidentally saw something very surprising. The thing that he saw was so surprising that it seemed that he was going to lose his consciousness. Why? Because it was very much surprising. See this what he says. And on the sudden fainting with surprise. So he says that the thing I saw was so surprising that it seemed that I was going to lose my consciousness. See, saw two fair creatures couched means lay side by side, one at the side of the other. He says he saw two creatures. He saw two divine beings. He says that he saw two divine beings just lying by the side of each other on the velvety grass of the jungle. He says, see, in deepest grass beneath the whispering woods. See the beautiful use of the personification, or the beautiful use of, you can say that this is you can call it a kind of a pathetic fallacy. You can call it a pathetic fallacy, or so example of personification. Why? Because here roof. First, here metaphor is also why? Because the clusters of the leaves of those trees of the jungle just had created a kind of a structure very similar to the structure of the roof, and just under that he saw two creatures. So, see the cluster, the leaves were so close to each other, or had covered that very particular area in such a manner that John Keats here called that roof. It means a metaphor. Directly he compares that shade made with the help of the leaves to a roof. He calls it a roof. So that is the metaphor. And since whispering one, treating that one just like the living one. This is personification also. But since it cannot whisper, whispering is a kind of a human trait, you can call it a pathetic fallacy also, or a pathetic fallacy to some extent you can call it. Why? Because certain human trait is transferred to something that is related to nature. See this. He saw of leaves and trembled blossoms. So all around, where the place where he saw two creatures, two divine beings, just lying or just resting on the velvety bedded grass. There were plants and trees. That place was just like the divine one. It was divine place. See this. Of leaves and trembled blossoms, just blossoms, where there ran a brooklet, scarce spice. So just close to that beautiful place, there was a brooklet. Brooklet is a kind of a waterfall or a river, scarce spice, that was not visible to one and all eyes. One had to pay a lot of attention to see that brooklet, that small waterfall or the small river. Spied means to see something with great difficulty. Mid-hushed, hushed, complete silence. So see, the atmosphere of that place was absolutely heavenly like. That was just like a heaven, where he saw two young divine creatures lying side by side. He says, see, mid-hushed, cool, rooted flowers, fragrant-eyed, blue, silver, white, and budded. Tyrian. Tyrian is the name of a particular dye. Dye, you know, that is used particularly for coloring the hair. So he says that this place, the place where he saw two divine creatures lying, was not less than a divine. Was not less than a divine place. It was just like a paradise. Why? Because multicolor flowers were all around them, and see, they smell intoxicating. See, it says fragrant eye. It is the atmosphere of that place was intoxicating, mesmerizing. See the sensuousness of the poet. Keats is known for his own sensuousness, and that sensuousness is in its full swing here in this very particular poem. You see this. Blue, silver, white, and budded Tyrian, they lay calm, breathing on the bedded grass. So how in a relaxed manner those divine creatures were lying. Those divine creatures were resting there, being surrounded with the multicolor flowers and their fragrance all around them, just like a paradise, just like a heavenly bliss, heavenly atmosphere. He says, their arms embrace. So they were in the just embraces of each other. One held the body of the other. He says, pinions too, even their pinions means wings. Their wings were even in contact of each other. It means, remember this, that Cupid is imagined or painted as a young god with a couple of wings or with a pair of wings. Same is the case with what? Psyche, his lover, beloved. See, their lips touched not, but had not bade adieu, goodbye. So he says, though their lips were not in contact with each other, though their lips were not touching each other, but they were not quite far away from each other. It seemed as if they had exchanged lots of kisses just a little while ago, and now they were resting, but again were ready to exchange thousands of kisses. You see this? Bade adieu as if disjoined by soft-handed slumber, sleep, momentary sleep, short-time sleep, and ready still past kisses to outnumber. So it seemed as if they had exchanged lots of kisses, and now they were resting, but again they were just any time going to exchange kisses, many more kisses. At tender-eyed dawn of Aurorian love. So see the love they had in them is a passionate kind of a love these two creatures had. Roseate kind of a love, just a love, a beautiful love. The winged boy I know, and now he says, now he discloses the identity of one of those two divine beings he stumbled at in the jungle while he was ambling or just wandering. He says, the one boy, the one creature with the wing I know, means I recognized. And that was, if he says a boy, it means he was none other than Eros, young god of love, Mother Aphrodite. He was none other than Cupid, according to Roman mythology. I know, but who was thou? Oh, happy thou, his Psyche true. So he said, but who was that another creature? Who was the second creature? Who was that second divine being? The one divine being that was a boy, that was a young god of love, that is Cupid according to Roman mythology, and Eros according to Greek mythology. But who was that? Who was that woman-like divine being? He says, oh, happy thou. So remember that a certain writer had described this Psyche as dove. So John Keats is also describing or calling, remember the calling Psyche as dove. So if here calling Psyche dove, it means he is straightway comparing Psyche with a dove. It means if we straightway compare one thing with another thing, this is metaphor. So see this, the beauty of this poem. Happy dove he called Psyche. Why? Because he was the worshipper of beauty. And since he was glorifying the beauty of his own beloved, that is Fanny Brown, who lived just by the side of his own house. So I hope, my dear learners, you may have understood the first stanza of this beautiful poem, that is Ode to a Psyche, my dear learners. Thank you, my dear learners, and that's it in this video, my dear learners.